am here to talk about the course Business Excellence taught by Mr. Jagu Jagannathan. The key takeaways or principles from the course is about how we learned the importance of excellence and how one should always strive to be the best or better than the best. And I also liked the anecdote that we learned about Adrian Morehouse and how he practiced and wanted to be better than the best in the Olympics Games. For a great leader, confidence is very essential. And in order to build that confidence, one should always strive to be better than the best. So therefore, this really stood out, and that's what I plan to practice in my life throughout.
Jai Sai Ram. I had 3 takeaways that I wanted to share with you from our workshop on leadership styles. The first takeaway is that you are nothing but your word, so make sure you keep your word as much as possible. But remember, keeping your word and honoring your word is not the same thing. The second takeaway was that there's no such thing as a clash of leadership styles. The only clash is up here, so keep that in mind. And the third takeaway was that don't blame others for a failure in a leadership situation. Always take full responsibility and make sure you do whatever you need to correct the situation. I think all 3 of these takeaways are so powerful and universal that they can be applied to any situation, be it work, be it your personal life, your family situations. So hoping all of us can do that in our lives as well. Jai Sai Ram.
The values-based leadership session was an eye-opener for me, where the examples that we came across during the class emphasized the message to introspect, discover ourselves, and be ourselves. One of the key takeaways from the session is to be thankful for what we have in the process of aiming high to reach higher goals. The other key takeaway is to have a firm conviction that when we do something selflessly, the universe conspires to make it happen. Hearing how Swami has demonstrated these messages as a leader at a physical level was really inspiring. The learnings from the session has helped me keep my thoughts focused on Swami, be thankful for what I have, particularly in the past few months where we have been going through a new normal lifestyle. In general, the topics covered in phase 1 of the series were exhaustive, and I look forward to the phase 2 of the series, where some topics could be addressed in more detail with real-life case studies. Sai Ram.
My observations from the Inspiring Leaders case study workshop are: leaders are remembered not for what they acquired, they are remembered for their contribution to the society. Leaders have obstacles too, sometimes spanning over decades, as pointed out in the presentation for Nelson Mandela, Mahatma Gandhi, and J.R.D. Tata, but they did not give up on their values. Regarding the life application, when the airline project was taken away from J.R.D. Tata, he did not fight it, nor did he get stuck. J.R.D. Tata continued to build the Tata conglomerate. It happens to us too in little ways, like plagiarism or lack of acknowledgement for our work. I want to remember not to get stuck, because what is here can be taken away, but what is here and here cannot be taken away. Another thing that I want to practice is distinguishing and prioritizing personal vision over everything else. Thank you.
Sai Ram, everyone. One of the key takeaways from the Being Assertive workshop is that assertiveness is all about expanding the way in which we communicate through confidence, clarity, and control. One of the key components of being an effective leader is the ability to stand up for yourself while respecting the rights and needs of others to gain results and build effective relationships. I also learned that the tone of my voice, my body language, and my facial expressions can influence the way in which my message is being conveyed to another person. I genuinely look forward to phase 2 of the Effective Leadership Workshop series so I can deepen my understanding of what it takes to be an effective leader. Sairam.
I liked the session about giving and receiving feedback by Mr. Arun because the material presented was prescriptive and actionable. Some key takeaways for me were to focus on the action or event that could be improved rather than speaking to the character of the person that was enabling the action. This is powerful and often missed in practice while giving feedback. I also like the concept of receiving feedback while separating emotion from the action or the person providing the feedback.
Sairam all. My name is Rasika. I happened to learn a lot from the conflict resolution session. I learned the definition of a conflict, the sources for the conflict, and the conflict resolution strategies. One of the key takeaways from the session was that conflict resolution is a skill that can be mastered and learned. In general, I tend to take a collaborative conflict resolution style, but I learned that the conflict resolution style is situation specific. Like everyone, I'm looking forward to the second phase of ELWS workshop. Thank you, and Sairam.
I wanted to share a couple of takeaways from the strategy development workshop and how I plan to implement it. So using the SWOT framework is universally applicable, but has its greatest advantage when thought of and implemented holistically. That is, strengths and weaknesses many times are two sides of the same coin, and each threat and opportunity can often be addressed with the same focus tactic. The exercise of putting these on paper can also serve as an internal compass for the organization, allowing key stakeholders to identify the most pressing gaps to be filled. While we follow a rough approximation of the framework at work, I found that we often develop tunnel vision on one or two threats and weaknesses, and fail to address other looming issues in a proactive manner. By performing these analyses on a more regular basis, we can better prioritize and develop tactics that more effectively address a wider swath of concerns simultaneously. Phase 1 sessions have covered a variety of topics that are tremendously helpful. Some of the ideas to explore would be the evolution of a business's mission as it evolves, including product evolution, external market forces, or leadership transitions. Without a mission statement that everyone buys into, these variables can contribute to internal turmoil and eventual decline of the business. Thank you.
The two biggest takeaways for me are the personal scorecard and the benchmarking. Personal scorecard clearly showed how can you document your own personal goals and execute against it. So writing down your personal goals on a paper and trying to cross-check how are you doing against them will really help. And writing down also gives you clarity on what are you aiming for. And the benchmarking also helps you to put a scale against your targets. So like setting a random goal is also not helpful. So that's a takeaway for me. What I'm looking for in the next ELW sessions is more case studies of real life leaders. All the concepts that we learned in these sessions, trying to see those concepts in the practical lives of these great leaders. That's one thing. Another thing is maybe we can turn this into a book club and start reading leadership books and come to this meeting and debate about those concepts. Thank you.
Sairam. Time is relative, but the vector just points forward for everyone. God and only God can transcend the space-time continuum and travel that temporally. But God did give us the opportunity to decide what we want to do with it. Through this wonderful session on time management, Ms. Komal Ram and Brother Mr. Sunil Kasturi have guided us and worked with us in practically testing out the core concepts during the breakout sessions. I heard a famous musician say that silence, that is the duration of silence between each note, is music in itself. Analogously, how befitting was it when Ms. Ram demonstrated the concept of time management with a 3-minute simulation exercise of doing nothing. Personal examples of time awareness, arrangement, and adaptation by Brother Sunil Kasturi resonated with our daily activities and how we could make our workflows better. Thank you for highlighting mindfulness. What a wonderful word, laden with the essence of every aspect of the session. I'm sure that all of us will take the guidance to heart and follow it every day at home, at work, and for self-improvement, honing the assimilated concepts in every activity. Swami has been an exemplar of time management in his physical form himself. I'd like to quote Swami from his Divine Discourse. Coincidentally, it's from the New Year Day of 1991, the same year that Ms. Ram showed in her introduction video about Swami inaugurating Super Specialty Hospital. Almost every department in the hospital was functional right from the inauguration date. Now quoting Swami, all things happen according to the dictates of time. Both good and bad depend on time. Prosperity and poverty likewise depend on time. Time is the time is the determinant of all things. There is none who is not subject to time in this entire world. That's the truth. Simple, concise, yet profound. I'm sure that these verses will definitely inspire all of us to imbibe and practice the concepts that we learned today. We have been cohort of this amazing Phase 1 of ELWS sessions by eminent faculty, facilitated by our cheerful hosts who have walked us through various topics on value-based leadership. I'm looking forward to Phase 2 of the ELWS, where we can probably delve into other topics like self-awareness, emotional intelligence, change management, influencing and mentoring, and probably others too. It would be wonderful to also revisit the already covered topics and delve deeper into them. Sai Ram.